Good morning. This is the VirtualPBX-admin training. This training will last about 30 to 45 minutes, hopefully closer to the 30 side. We do record these trainings, so if you can't stay for the whole time, that's fine. You can come back later at your convenience. You can also share the link with other staff members who need to be system admins. Feel free to make use of YouTube's chat feature to ask questions about a feature as I'm going over them. Also, I'll be referring to the show notes several times, but the main one to look at is that support page link, and you can use that to search on the features for the step-by-step directions. I'm mostly going to be talking about where to find things or what they are. So here we have our dash login page. To get logged in, we need 3 pieces of information. The first is your username, and that's your email address. That should be in all lowercase letters. Your password is case sensitive. And then your account name, which is typically your organization name. Could be your own name. That is not case sensitive. If you're having problems logging in, just above the sign-in bar, there's a forgot your info link. You can click on that. We still need that email address. And then we need one of the 2 following pieces of information, either the account name or a phone number that's on the account. And then you would click on the reset password bar here. That's going to send you an email. And in the body of the email, there'll be a link that temporarily logs you in so you can just change your password. If you try to do anything else, it will log you out. Once you do change your password, it will also log you back out. And it will take you to the login page where you enter in that login, that new password, and click login. And once you do that, you'll get sent to the dashboard page. Now, the first time you log in, the wizard will pop up and start showing you what different things are. You can always exit out of that if you wish. Here on my dashboard up at the top, I can click on my name at any time. And it'll bring a big pop-up actually. This is my user account page. The most common thing that is done here is clicking on the password box and changing the password. In some cases, you may also want to change like your time zone and language, etc. Now, as a system admin, over here on the left, I also have access to the account level settings. So this is for account wide. Typically, we recommend changing the time zone so it's in the proper time zone for your company versus the default, which is in the Pacific time zone. System admins can also manage the add-ons on the account. These allows you to enable various features on your account it will incur a charge on your account. There'll be a pop-up when you click enable on a particular add-on, there'll be a pop-up letting you know what that monthly charge is. You have to confirm that to enable the feature and thus acknowledge that there'll be an additional charge on your bill. The add-ons include virtual text forward, advanced reporting, multiple auto attendants, as well as dynamic caller ID. System admins can access the billing portal over here on the left, and this here is the link to the billing portal. That is where you would go to update your payment information or see previous invoices. And then all system admins can click on the cancel account button here. And there'll be a red button to the bottom right. When you click on that, there's a form to fill out, basically a few questions, and then you're done. Right? The account will cancel at the end of the current billing cycle. Then you'll be sent a final invoice once that is completed. And I'll go ahead and click. There's a close button here at the top right. And I'm back here on my dashboard page. To the right of my name, there's a D&D toggle. That stands for Do Not Disturb. Mine is currently active, meaning that I am not accepting calls. Right? So calls to my user going to voicemail. If I click on it, it'll toggle off, which means I'm accepting calls. The only time this would not show up is if you're on the Ultra plan and you have made use of ACD queues or the call center. and you've been assigned to a queue, then the D&D toggle is removed automatically. The little phone icon, this opens up a new tab, takes you to webphone.virtualpbx.net. If you have a web phone device on your user, you can use your dash login information on that page to log in, and then you can use Chrome or Firefox to make and receive calls. Right? This would count as a VoIP device. The little chat bubbles here, this opens up a new tab, takes you to virtualtext.app, which has its own login information. This is how you would make use of the business SMS feature, virtual text. It again has its own login information. You can also download an app and use it on your cell phone. Little question mark icon. This opens up a chat bubble at the bottom right of your browser, so you can speak to our support team so they can help you out with a particular feature. The hamburger icon, right, 3 horizontal lines. This is the menu icon. This takes you to other dash features, which we'll touch on briefly. And then the arrow to the right is your logout icon. I'm going to skip down here into the center. Total users, I have 5. So I have 5 people on my account who make and receive calls. The more users you have on your account, the higher your bill is going to be. Total devices, I have 14, and a breakdown, basically the types of devices that I've added. The main ones to be aware of are the SIP phone, soft phone, and web phone. Those are all VoIP devices. Depending on your plan, having multiple can increase your bill. And then total phone numbers, 12. Your account includes at least one main local number as part of your monthly plan price. The Pro plan and above would also include a local number per user. I'm obviously have more than that. So I'm paying an overage per number beyond my 6 numbers I get allocated, and it's $4.99 per month per phone number. Conference bridges, I have 2. That means I've enabled the conference feature on 2 of my users, so they host or moderate conferences. Over here to the top right is my main number block. I have 3 main numbers. They all go to the same part of my system. They're all playing the same main greeting. You can obviously have multiple main numbers if you're so inclined. The conference number, you can have multiple conference room numbers if you want. They're all going to the same set of conference rooms. And this is the number everyone dials to join a conference. That includes your staff. The fax box number, this is your inbound fax number. You can have one main fax box number. This also allows you to edit your fax box to allow for outbound faxing. Contact directories, there's 2 links here. The CSV is just that. It's a CS file. You open up with your favorite spreadsheet program. It'll have a list of all your staff members, their names, their email addresses, their extensions, their devices. The soft phone link is for use with the VirtualPBX desktop soft phone application. So if you're using our soft phone app on a Mac or Windows PC, you can download this file and then upload it to that soft phone app. And in the contact list, you'll see your other staff members listed there, as well as the status of their VirtualPBX soft phones, i.e. you can see if they're on a call or not. VirtualPBX Store, this opens up a new tab, takes you to store.virtualpbx.com, where you can order things like a physical VoIP phone. The account realm, this is unique to each account. This is one of the 3 pieces of information you need to program or provision a third-party soft phone, and so someone else's soft phone app. It's also used for outbound faxing, which we'll get into later. Skipping back up to this blue bar here, caller ID. It's a button you can click on here. It's going to open up a new little pop-up. This pull down here to the right lets you select any of your main numbers. Whichever number you select becomes your default number, which is what your VoIP phones, for example, would use for their outbound caller ID. Hold music. This allows you to upload your own media files. You can upload a .wav or .mp3 file up to 1 megabyte in size. We just click the upload button here. Find the file by clicking browse, then the up arrow icon, and then click save changes. This becomes the default hold music for all your staff. And this is after the call is reached to one of your staff members, and then they have pressed hold on their VoIP phone. That is when this media file will play. A 1 megabyte MP3 is roughly 5 minutes long. Now, hours is part of main number, which we don't want to get into right away. So instead, over here on the left, I'm going to click on users. This is my user page. Basically shows who all my users are. The people with the blue suit icon, these are my system admins, right? So they can make all the changes we're talking about. Dante and the test user down here at the bottom, these are gray people icon. These are my standard users. They have limited access. Right? They can like check their voicemail. They can set up call forwarding for themselves. Up here at the top is where you would click on add user. Get a big pop-up here. You basically fill out the form. The main thing to know, in the first and last name fields, it wants some sort of text. The email address used for login needs to be unique for each user. So you can't reuse email addresses for people. This is how the system communicates with your staff. Voicemail notifications, password resets, that sort of thing. Create a password for the user. You can create an extension number for the user. The system starts you off with extension 1000, so it will suggest the next one in that 1000 series. You don't have to follow that. You can enter whatever you wish. By default, the system will automatically create a voicemail box for this user, basically saving you a step. Here's your option to include them in the user directory. Just put a check mark here. You can always change that later. Here's your option to send emails to an alternate address. So if you want those password resets or those voicemail notifications to go to an email other than the one that this used for login, you would put a check mark here, enter that different email address in the box provided. This is also something you can change at any time. And then the last option here, send credentials to the user. And all that means is once you click on these buttons at the bottom, that the new user gets an email welcoming them to the Dash account and provides them with their login information. Right, create user if you only need to add one, create user and add another if you need to add multiple. Once a user is created, you can click on the name. And it should expand out. There we go. So if you need to change their name, you can do so. If you need to change their email address or password, you would just click on the change credentials. The other thing you can do under change credentials is click on the link here that sends them the password reset email so they can do that themselves, or at least change the password themselves. Here's where you would change the voicemail box PIN number. Well, it's one of the places you can do that. Here's where you can change or choose to send to alternate address. Here's the option to be in the user directory or not. Little person icon here. This pull down lets you change a user into an admin or an admin into a user. Clock icon. This pull down allows you to select the time zone for the user so that their voicemail timestamps are correct. The flag icon, this lets you change the display language for this user, English, French, German, or Russian. The ringing timeout defaults to 20 seconds, which is plenty of time for calls to go to a landline or a VoIP phone. If you have a user only using a cell phone, then you'd want to increase this to 30 seconds, possibly even more. Extension box for the user, you can choose to have them have multiple extensions if you want to. Just click on add extension number, enter that new extension number, and click save changes. Users can have their own phone numbers. In the show notes, use that support page link and do a search for adding a phone number or DID phone numbers. A phone number on a user is available 24/7. Right, it has no hours of operation, no holidays, it's always available. A user can have multiple phone numbers if you wish as well. Devices, right, shows the devices on the user. The only one I'm really going to cover here is for adding a new one for the soft phone, and that's this one here. So you'll always get this warning message. Please read it at least once. And then we'll get this large box to show up here. There we go. This defaults to showing you a third-party soft phone, meaning you're using somebody else's soft phone app. That's fine. We don't mind that you do that. However, if you want to use the VirtualPBX soft phone, notice down here below where it says View Configuration Guide, there's a little text bubble. It says Use Third-Party Application. This is actually a toggle that you can click on. So now it says Use VirtualPBX Application. I just need to give it a name up here, and then click on Create Device, and then Save Changes. Once I click on Save Changes, this user gets an email saying their VirtualPBX soft phone is ready. In the body of the email is their username and password to log in. There's also be download links in that email so they can download the app to their preferred device. On the user page is the only place that you can add the VirtualPBX soft phone. So if you try to add it on the devices tab, which we'll cover later, it won't work because you won't have that option to toggle. For all the other devices, again, use that support page link, or you can look at the auto provisioning document, which is for the physical VoIP phones like Yealink, Polycom, Cisco, etc. Then we have user features. Caller ID number, this is for users that have their own phone number. And when you select it, then that phone number becomes their outbound caller ID for their VoIP phones. Voicemail, which we'll go into a little bit more detail here. Your voicemail boxes can hold up to 100 messages. After that, they're full and cannot accept any more. This is the default setup for a voicemail box, which the main thing is that we are sending an email notification and we're attaching an MP3 file. Right, so you can just listen to it via your email. That doesn't manage your voicemail box, so the voicemail is still there, right? You can call in and listen to it. You can check it via the user portal, via the web page. Calling in or that user portal access is how you would manage the voicemail box, right? Where you can delete messages, change their status, etc. Follow me. This is for users with multiple devices. So this user has 2 devices. And if we click on it here, you can see right now only being offered to this cell phone device. I can uncheck this other device and click and drag. So now I'm offering it to both devices. I can also click distribute here. So now it equalizes out between the 2. I can click and drag to change the order, maybe. All right, then now I click distribute again, so that way this VoIP phone is going first, and then this cell phone. This box here is the total timestamp or call time that's offered between the 2 devices, which you can edit. So I can take it down to say 60 seconds and click distribute again. Now, one thing to know is if this user is part of a group, which we'll be getting to next, calls from the group ignore the follow me settings. So they would still ring both devices at the same time. Now, if I left the follow me off, right, so it's disabled, both devices would ring at the same time until the user picked up. Fax box would be if you want to have a user have their own fax box. You can assign a phone number or an extension. Conference bridge, this is to have a user be a conference moderator, right, so they can set up their own PIN numbers to join their conference rooms. Call forward, this is if you want to allow call forwarding. If you have a user that has a cell phone as one of the devices, you don't need to turn on call forwarding because we're already forwarding to a cell phone. Now, if there's a different phone number altogether that they want to forward to, then you can turn on call forwarding. But again, that's also something your users can enable themselves. If you have users that only use a VoIP phone, another feature of call forwarding is failover mode, which basically means VoIP phone goes offline. You can have it automatically set up to forward to another number, like their cell phone. Customized call recording. This is if you want to record your inbound or outbound calls, or both. Music on hold, if you want to have a separate hold music file for this user. Do not disturb if you need to mark the user so that they're not getting calls, i.e. they're like in important meetings or something that you don't want them to have, interrupted, that sort of thing. Hot desking, VoIP phone feature. This allows users to log into the VoIP phone that they're sitting at. Designed for hybrid scheduling or shared office environment. You come into the office, you sit at the phone, you pick it up, hit *11, which turns on hot desking on that phone, then enter your hot desk ID, and now calls will be sent to you at that desk. Again, for greater details on how to set these up, use the support page link in the show notes. All right, next up, we're going to groups. Groups are departments, also sometimes referred to as ring groups or hunt groups. Up here at the top, you would click on Add Group. You need to give it a name. You need to give it an extension number. After that, you click and drag your staff members that you want to be in the group, and then you would click on Create Group. Once a group is created, you can click on its name. You can always change the name. And then you have group call attempts. This is how many times the system will offer the inbound call to the members of your group. There's little arrows at the far right of the box, so you can increase or decrease that as you need to. Here's your option to delete. Otherwise, you can click on Save Changes if you made any changes. The members box shows who you've assigned to the group and how you're offering calls to them. This is an example of blast ringing or ring all, right? So whoever answers the call first gets it, but they're all ringing at the same time until someone does answer. Right, I have timestamps up here. The default is 120 seconds on a group. I can always click distribute. So now calls will always be offered in this order every time. Right, so Dante always gets the call first. If he answers, that's great. Everyone's happy. If he's on a call and a second call comes in to this group, he is still offered that second call for 40 seconds before it rolls to David. Likewise, if Dante and David are both on calls and a third call calls in, that third caller has to wait 80 seconds before it's offered to Jeanette. Now, you can click these sliders to reduce those hold times for those later people if you need to. And just like under Follow Me, right, I can click and drag and change the order around if I need to. Here's your option to add more people from your available staff members. Otherwise, you can click on Assign to remove people from the group and then save changes. Extension number box. You can add additional extension numbers to a group if you need to. Phone numbers. Groups can have phone numbers. Just like under users, there's no hours of operation. Right? This phone number is available 24/7. Group features. First up is ringback. Essentially hold music for the group. Basically, it plays until one of your staff members picks up. So you would click up here to enable, upload a .wav or .mp3 file up to 1 megabyte in size. The up arrow icon, click Save Changes. One thing to note is that the system will not loop the file for you. So you need to make sure the file will play as long as the total ring time in the group. So if you left it at default, that means you need to make your file plays for 2 minutes. Next action. If your staff members aren't able to answer the phone, what do you want the system to do with the caller, right? That inbound caller. So up here, you click to enable. This pull down, other places on your account. You can send them to another group. You can send it to a specific user. You can send it to a specific voicemail box. Allow call forwarding. You can just enable this and your staff members can make use of call forwarding, i.e. they're not going to be at their normal desk phone. They want to take calls on their cell phone. Caller ID prepend. This is a VoIP phone feature. This allows you to add either text or numbers that shows up on your staff members' VoIP phones in front of the caller ID of the person who's calling in. Right. So customer Mary is calling in, reaches out to Bob's his VoIP phone. On Bob's VoIP phone, on the display, he sees, say, the word support, and then customer Mary's phone number. So he knows what kind of call he's getting. And that's grouped. So let's go up to main number. First up, you have your main company numbers. These are the default numbers your customers call. You can always add numbers or uh, either add from spare or buy new numbers, right? Adding from spare is making use of a number you already have. Buy numbers is adding new numbers to the account. Again, refer to that support page link. You can unassign a number. That does not remove it from the account. It just removes it from this location, and which means it moves it to a spare number under your numbers tab, which we'll be getting to later. Once you have numbers in place, you have office hours strategy. You have 24-hour open office or custom office hours. For each day of the week, if you're open, put a check mark in front of that day and set your open hours in 24-hour or military time. You also have the option here to be closed for lunch. You just put a check mark down here, set your lunch hours, and again, in that 24-hour military time, and then click on Save Changes. Office holidays, if you're closed for holidays, put a check mark up here. And then over here on the right, click on Add Holiday. You have single day, date, range, and advanced. Each one of these creates a new row. You need to give it a name and then follow the parameters, right? So for single day, you just give it month and date, save changes, right? Date range, choose a start date and an end date, and then save changes. Advanced, you choose a month. The second pull down, you have first through fifth, as well as last, and then the day of the week. And then save changes. If you need to remove a holiday, click on the little trash icon here, and then save changes. Incoming call handling. So for my main numbers, how do I want my system to handle calls during my open hours, during my after hours, or during my holidays? If I had chosen to have lunch hours, there'd be a lunch hours tab here as well. Likewise, if I had chosen to only have a 24-hour open office, I would only have open hours. So over here under open hours, for my main numbers, I have calls coming in here to my virtual receptionist. This is a link that I can click on. It's going to open up a big box. There we go. On the left is my main menu. This is what people press on their phones to navigate through my phone system. And I would click on Add Route to give me more options. Now, this first pull down, you have 0 through 9, plus the star key and the default action. The second pull down are things on your system, users, groups, etc. Even voicemail boxes and what have you. Now, your greeting options over here on the right, text to speech, it's just that you type it in, the system reads it off in a computerized robotic voice. Upload your own file, .wav.mp3 file up to 1 megabyte in size. Existing recordings, these are files that are already on the account. Shows you basically all your media files that you can choose from. Record over the phone. By default, the system wants you to use a VoIP phone on the account. If you don't want to do that, or you can't because you don't have a VoIP phone, then under settings, you want to come down to here where it says allow outside recording and turn that on. This allows you then to call in from any phone. So then you can call in. You still need this PIN number. This PIN number is specific to this time of day, so it only works during my open hours. If I called on Saturday, it would not work. But then it walks you through recording over the phone. It then becomes your default recording, right? It overwrites the main greeting that's in place. You can also choose to get a professionally recorded file. You would click order here. That opens up a new tab, takes you to Snap Recordings, who's a separate company. You would order a greeting from them. They have like 100 voice actors and actresses to choose from. They email you the completed file. You would come back here to upload your own file. Number of retries on misdial. This is how many times your inbound caller can make a mistake. In this case, they can make one mistake, which means they get 2 total attempts to navigate through my phone system. Right? So they call in, they make it, say they press 7, which is not a valid option. Right? I don't have an extension number 7. The system would say we don't recognize your entry. We place the greeting, and then hopefully they click on the correct option. Dialing timeout, this is how much time the system listens for an additional button press, i.e. they're trying to enter a multi-digit extension number. It actually defaults to 10, which I think is too long. I usually recommend between 3 to 5. Allow outside recording, that's for that main greeting dialing from like a cell phone or landline. That's default to off as a security feature, so someone doesn't accidentally enter your PIN number and then change your main greeting on you without you knowing it. Allow dialing extensions. By default, this is on, and this just means if someone enters a valid extension number, the system will transfer the call. The express plain invalid entry. If you don't want the system to say we did not recognize your entry, you can turn this on, and so that message will not play. Now, if you don't need a menu option any longer, you can click on the little X icon here to the right, and that removes it. Any changes you make to your main menu, to your greetings, or your settings, you will need to click Save down here at the bottom right, and then you need to click Save Changes here under Incoming Call Handling. Now, the second option is the live operator answer. So this first pull down, something on your system, typically a user or a group, could be a call queue, could be a device. The idea is you're trying to give someone a chance to answer the call first. If they can't, then the call is sent to the virtual receptionist. And this is my after hours virtual receptionist, so I have less menu options and I have a different greeting. But beyond that, same general parameters. My holidays, I chose this third option. This first pull down, something on your system, user, group, media file, device, what have you. I chose the last option, which is to simply skip the voicemail. And then the second pull down, I choose the voicemail box I want it to go to. And then save changes. Main conference number, you can have multiple conference room numbers if you want. Add from spare, buy new. You can also do the custom greeting here, which is just a text-to-speech greeting. Just click to enable. Type in what you want the system to say. Even if you leave this disabled, when you call your conference room number, it still says welcome to the conference and then prompts the caller to enter the conference room number and PIN number. Main fax box number, you can have one main fax box number. Once you do have a fax box number, you can edit the fax box here. The inbound permissions, inbound notifications, it's designed to put an email address here to the right. Anytime you get a fax, this email is sent, an email sent to this address has a PDF attachment showing the fax. Down here, the email permissions, this is for outbound faxing. You can put your company email domain, like we have here, VirtualPBX, or you can put an email address in place. That just determines who can send a fax out. So anyone at VirtualPBX can send a fax out from this account, even if they're not a user on it. Now, to do so, they would need to create an email from their VirtualPBX account, or VirtualPBX email. And then in the to field, they put +1, area code and phone number, @ and then the account realm. Then they need to add a PDF or a TIFF file. The system only looks at the to field, the from field, and the attachment. It does not transmit anything that you put in the subject line or in the body of the email. Only one attachment, so make sure you don't have a signature file there or anything like that, just your PDF that you want to have sent out. Also, only one email address per attempt. Auto attendance, this is an add-on, allows you to create secondary attendance, typically used for multiple businesses on the same account, or if you want to make use of sub-menuing. Up here at the top, you give it a name, you give it an extension number, and then click on Create Attendant. When you do so, it defaults to being unavailable in main menu, i.e. a standalone attendant. You can click on this toggle, and that now when it says available in main menu, that means it's a sub-menu option. Right? So I can put it into my virtual receptionist as one of the menu options. It can even be a next action from one group. Attendants can have their own phone numbers. They can have multiple extension numbers. When you click on the little settings wrench here, it will expand out. And you see I have open hours, after hours, and holidays. This matches what we set up under the main number, but they're all virtual receptionists, so you need to give it a greeting, menu options, etc. Save and save changes. The devices tab, this shows your devices on the account. Red means it's unregistered, so we can't send calls to it. Green means it's registered, so we can. Up here, you can add devices. The main thing to point out again is even though there's an option for the soft phone here, right? Get the warning message. But there's no toggle down here, right? Like there was under the user page. So if you need to add third-party soft phones, doesn't matter where you add it. If you need the VirtualPBX soft phone, you have to add it on the user. The other thing to point out is under the wrench icon here under Edit. Well, that's not what I clicked on. At least I don't think I clicked on that. That was weird. Okay, so I'm not sure why that popped up. All right, so this is that Yealink phone. Under Advanced, the emergency caller ID, you can, each of your phone numbers you can assign a different address to for the purposes of E911. You can then assign that phone number to specific VoIP phones for the purposes of 911. So if this phone ever dials 911, this is the address that gets transmitted to emergency services. This is helpful for your staff members who might be working remotely, so that way you can make sure that their VoIP phones have their work location address associated with it if they ever have to call 911. Hopefully they don't, but that's what that's for. All right, Greetings tab shows all your media files on the account. You can add additional files up here at the top, .wave, .mp3 file up to 1 megabyte. Just give it a click on Browse and then click on Browse, click on Create Greeting. It will then upload it here, and then it will be available for you to assign elsewhere. Name, right? Simply the name of the file. Source, TTS means text to speech, which means it was created under your virtual receptionist or one of your auto attendants. Upload means the file was uploaded. Recording means it was recorded over the phone. The play icon here, this lets you play back the file directly in your browser. If for some reason that is not working, you can then choose the option to download the file and then use your media player on your device to play it back. I also recommend downloading your main greeting that you use for most of the year so you have a backup copy of it. The little wrench icon under Edit. This allows you to change the file name so it's something you can easily recognize, or you can get rid of the file if you know you no longer need it. Next up, we have numbers. This shows your numbers on the account, and I'm in my numbers in use, which means these are the ones that are assigned someplace. A little gear icon here is where you would update the E911 information for a specific phone number. Spare numbers, these are the numbers you're not using or that you unassigned from someplace. If you put a check mark in front of that number, or any number on this page, then you have the option to delete. You would then confirm the deletion, and that's how you remove a number from the account. Oops.